Storm's over, rain gone. Storm's over, rain gone. Storm's over now, I'm on my way back home.
Okay, this is the famous octopus Hedera. Hedera is rarely used for bonsai. Well, basically it's a vine that obviously does not look like a bonsai ever normally, and you never find a thick one or a short one. And while they're easily available, people in general don't think it can be a bonsai. Well, for some reason, Sebastian a long time ago did think that this could be one. And now, after all these years, it has become a famous one. I dare say that I haven't seen a better Hedera. I've seen a couple of real good ones, but this is still the best. And I hate to say this, Sebastian, I really hate to say it, but this is the best Hedera I've ever seen as bonsai. However, there's a few things that we could do here. This long pot, you're not going to change, huh? Because it might be even too long, or you make the branch longer or something like that.
I've tried to make the pot longer with this pot.
But anyway,
even shorten the branch.
Yeah, well, the pot is fine, but it's a good pot. Is it? Does it come from me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, then it's a good pot. so the pot is perfect. Okay, so of course, in order to really enjoy this piece, you must get rid of all these algae, and you know how biotree cleaner eats them off, or you take a toothbrush and work for 2 hours.
I've done that 1.5 months ago, but it grows back very quickly.
Yeah. So anyway, this could be in show state rather soon. I think some big shows might accept it because they don't ever have good Hedera. You may want to do a bit more with the crown. Make sure not to over style it. It's a bit of a long stretch already to have a vine that's really growing on a wall as a big tree and then looking like a pine tree. I mean, that's too much. You got me? Hey, let it look at least like a broad-leaved tree, because it is broad-leaved. It's not a conifer. Now, and we don't, the over-styled trees always look more like a conifer. But even on conifers, I would warn you of over-styling. Well, this looks to me like a tropical ficus tree. Okay, so this is your image. It's a ficus tree, and they are much wider than high, so that's perfectly okay. They have these very, very contorted branches which touch the ground, which even are at the ground and then throw roots. That's fine. If somebody really wanted to do a naturalistic sort of ficus or Hedera tree, you could actually root one of these and make a new little tree here. Yes, these roots over stone are very interesting, and that gives this whole tree this power, because our eye sees this immediately as a big fat trunk, which it is not. It is somebody put a tree on top of a rock a long time ago, but now there's so many roots that you forget about the rock, and you see a big fat trunk, which is very fat for a Hedera. Okay. Same effect do have these trident maples, which we often see on rocks. They always look very powerful, although they're not really. The stone is powerful. So it's an optical illusion again. Instead of a fat trunk, you have a fat rock, and the eye sees this as rock and finds this whole thing powerful, strong. That's the trick here. Okay, since this is so powerful, it can afford a very large crown because there is so much optical weight of that and so much power from the trunk. If you had a small crown, it would look grotesquely powerful. Now, you do the right thing in having a very large crown, which could even be larger. I would not mind if this were even larger in the future. You will have to do some weeding. This little, what we call star moss, is not really. It's a weed which we want to avoid. And then you have this gravel here, a substrate. It's very good for growing the tree, but it's ugly. You want to hide it with topsoil, some fine soil, and
This was just freshly potted.
this was just freshly potted. I knew you would have an excuse for everything. Your wife can tell me about it. I mean, she knows all this.
I just want to say that it's not so strange for Hedera to have a style like this. If you drive your car to the first house here on the left, then you will see the stump, some fence. And on the top of the fence, it's a dead Hedera that somebody cut the roots of there. And you can see that the trunk, it's very fat like this. And branches are going down like this. And it's dead, and then you can see that it's not so like pinus looking tree. That old Hedera that is growing on the fence, not in the forest, not climbing, that it grows like that.
Yeah, I understand. Well, it was just pointed out that this, which is your backside, is also a pretty good front. Yeah. It's very interesting, different, not so wild. Here it's, you can see this major branch here, which you don't really see much here. It's a different sort of tree. So I think it's a very good thing if you have the problem of not being able to decide which is the better front. I love this. I have many trees which have several fronts, and if you ever watch my internet on the blog or on Facebook, I often show trees with several views from, and I never tell people which is my front. They have to figure out for themselves. Many people are confused because that is not orthodox. I mean, in standard bonsai design, everybody knows the very, very first thing is you must find the front. And when you have the front, then you can start designing the rest of the tree. Now, strangely enough, that's the very last thing I do. I find several fronts, and then I just design a tree, and after many years I decide which front I like best, and I cannot often decide. Very strange. Naturalistic bonsai design, just by accident. Okay, yeah, very nice. I will not take this back, that this is a very, very good Hedera, okay?
And the price is?
And the price, no, this is not for sale.
You turn it around, and when you look like this.
Well, you could well be. You could play around with it like that.
Yeah.
So you want it from the other side, that's fine.
Maybe to lean it a little like this, and to enlarge space between these lower branches and the soil. No.
You could do that, but I don't think Sebastian will follow you.
Well,
Maybe one day.
no, all these suggestions are interesting, but this tree is more like an emotional value for me because this is one of my first trees, you know, and it survived me for the last 18 years. So it will stay probably as it is, just with refinement.
Well,
so it is fixed, it is stable like it is, and it will stay like
Well,
that.
it's a miracle. In your naive bonsai life, starting out, you were clueless.
Yeah.
You were clueless, and you made this. How about that? You put the tree on top of a stone. Now you know you shouldn't do that. You don't take a stone and on top of the stone put a tree, because forever it will look like somebody put a tree on a stone. But you did that.
I have put this tree several times on the different stones.
Yeah.
Third or fourth stone. Always on top.
Yeah, because it was designed like that. But now it has this side thing here, which is very important. If it wouldn't have this, it would look silly again, because what tree would grow on a roundish sort of rock on the top? No, it would not happen. So some man must have planted it there. Must have been a very naive bonsai person. Okay.
It was 1995.
1995, you were a small kid then, playing with little boats, hoping to play. So I really like it. You know, many of these bonsai trees look good in the beginning, and then they're overgrown. People are very proud that they have such a healthy looking tree, and really it's losing quality as a bonsai. It's too dense. And then they say, well, look at these Japanese trees we see in the magazines. I said, well, yeah, the first thing, if you gave that tree to me, I would cut out 80% of the foliage of just about every tree. They're all too dense. Huh? Well,
What do you think about showing this tree on a winter exhibition without leaves? Leaf cut.
well, no, I would, you know, Hedera does have leaves in winter.
Yeah.
And I would think, does this really look better without leaves?
It's very good.
Well, if that's the case,
Is good, but
if that's the case, then you can do it, but then you should also make sure that you get rid of all that algae. Yeah, well, your leaves always have this, from watering, they have this gray coating.
I have that spray for shining the leaves. You know, I know the secret.
Shining the leaves.
Leaf shiner. Shiner.
I was at
Leaf
the Ginkgo. I was at the Ginkgo Award, and you know, you come in and then there's big tables where you prepare your trees for the show. And for me, that's routine. I've done this so often. But then, of course, some young people are new the first time, and then this Polish guy comes in and has this. It was a blue white pine, you know, and he looked at me. What are you doing? And I sprayed everything, and they became bright, and so, and then. He said, can I also use it? I said, yeah, go ahead. And then he just sprayed the moss. And I said, oh, come on, this is not the way to do it. I took his and put it over, and this blue tree got a streak of bright green where I sprayed it. The blue turned into bright green. Gosh, I killed the tree. I did. It's ruined for the show. I said, okay. You know what? Now you have to spray the whole tree, and it's not blue anymore, it's green. He still speaks to me. No, he was so shocked. And I was shocked because that was not what I expected. But now I know if you ever have a blue tree, it will turn green if you spray it. And this here, for example, is like kind of bluish. It will be a bit more green.
Well, these are lime deposits from the water.
I know.
Together with foliar fertilizing, which is also something like bluish or grayish stuff. So it all just builds. It is very hot now, so if I water the trees in the middle of the day, it evaporates very quickly, and then the lime just stays on.
How about moving the whole tree 4 centimeters into that direction, so that it's a bit more centered, and then this is an empty space which looks a bit weird. If you move it from here, then it's a bit more balanced, I think. But that should be easy.
But I plan to extend those branches nicely.
Well, if you do that, then that's taking care of that. Okay, so I now need a pause.
rain gone, storm's over. Oh!